As a matter of fact, most of the people that I see here are people that are already creating impact in different ways. A few of them, my friends, my colleagues. There is Ebube on the keyboard. He's a very good friend of mine. I admire him a lot. There is Mr. Ellis. There is back there. There is Big Man Dave. Of course, there's Funky, Mr. Gozie, my good friend also. We've walked a few times, and then of course there's Mr. Minister Chinemerem, right? I got it right. Okay, forgive me. I'm not much of an outgoer. You know, I'm beginning to try to do a little better with going out and engaging with people, interacting with people. But I happen to know at least one or two people. So what I'm trying to say is that we have a decent representation. So whether the number of seats in this place ends up getting filled up before this event is over, I want us to leave here knowing that the event was a success nonetheless. Do we understand? That's very important because you are already here. And we might as well make the most of what we can from the time that we have to spend here, and then take it and ferment it, and basically proliferate it. Just spread it abroad. Let other people that couldn't come catch the fire and all of that. Okay. Okay. So my name is Wisdom. And all of the things that they've written out and also read out in the course of the profile is some of the little things that I have been able to do in the little while that I've been around here. And I'm privileged to just have a conversation with us as briefly as we can this afternoon to basically, pick our brains, and then we bounce ideas off of each other, share a few things. Most of the things that we're going to be talking about may not be entirely brand new ideas or things that we haven't heard before. One of the things that happen when we congregate like this is that you're able to catch just a little bit of encouragement and passion from someone else. And the things that you know that you're supposed to be doing that you're probably not doing yet, you're able to jumpstart yourself. You know how jumpstarting works, right? We all know what jumpstarting is. When you say you want to jumpstart a car, okay, so you probably have like a dead or low battery in your car, and so you borrow from someone else's whose battery is still okay, put it in yours, put the connectors, and then you try to start yours. And when it starts, it now continues running. You return the person's battery to them, and then yours continues running, and then charges your own battery, and you can continue with it. So that's basically the whole idea of jump starting each other to begin to do the things that we know we are actually supposed to be doing, but we don't have the zeal or the drive yet to do. Okay, so we're just going to talk, and I really would love for us to talk. I didn't prepare anything fantastic. I kept asking Panky, what am I going to talk about? The last time we had something like this in the past edition, he gave me something to write, did slides and all of that, but I didn't really know that I could put all of that together in this instance. So I would just like for us to talk. There are a few things that I would like to poke us with, and then we will end up talking. So before I go into doing that, I'll just like to do a quick census to know, the people that I'm speaking with or to, and what exactly it is how we are stakeholders in this business. So I already know Mr. Ebube. I know he's a pianist. He's a keyboardist. Who knows the difference between a pianist and a keyboardist? Do you know? Who knows the difference? Mr. Dave, is there a difference between a pianist and a keyboardist? These little finicky things that, we're not very sure of. One thing that I would say right off the top of my head to everybody here is one of the best things you can do to move yourself forward as an upward mobile musician or anything else in this world is to make Google your friend. Everybody say that. Everybody say that. We all have Google on our phones, right? We all have browsers. Now, it's important that once ever you come across anything that you're not very sure of, I believe we already do it, but I'm saying it now so that we can actually take it and relate it even to this business of music. Do not feign ignorance, or do not feign I'm not sure, or do not feign that. What you can do is you can actually just take 30 or 45 or 60 seconds and Google up that thing and just read a brief thing about that thing. Do we understand? Do we understand? I need us to talk back to me because I'm not coming to teach. I'm just coming to discuss. So we will just talk, rub minds, and then I'll stand down. Okay, so it might not take you very long, but you end up being better informed. You know the difference between this and that. And then also the dictionary too is another very good thing. So that the idea is that you're ever learning. Everybody say you're ever what? You're ever learning. You're ever learning. That's the way to stay fresh. That's the way to stay on top of what you do. So I know Ebube is a keyboardist. He's a music director. He's a producer. And all of that. Then, of course, Mr. Ellis too. So, hello, sir. Hello. So, sorry. What do you do? Are you a musician, and what area do you specialize? Are you specialized in? Okay, you can just pick up and we hear. Okay, hi. You play the keyboard, just that. Okay, so say it again for the record.
I said I'm Shay, and I play the keyboard.
Okay, anything else? Just the keyboard?
I'm also learning bass guitar.
You're learning the bass guitar. Okay, so fantastic. Ellis plays everything playable, so we know him. Yeah, so the other guy, let's just,
All right. Praise the Lord. Good afternoon. My name is Prince. But they know me as Mr. Yaga. I'm not a musician.
Okay.
I'm a content creator, a comedian, an MC. You understand? But I love entertainment.
Okay, fantastic. He's an entertainer. Yes, please.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
My name is Success. I'm a keyboardist and I'm also a singer.
Keyboardist and singer, okay?
Praise the Lord. My name is Abigail. I'm a choir member. I sing in the church.
Okay, fantastic.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
My name is Glory, choir head and a singer.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
You can call me Prince. I'm a lover of music.
Okay, so you don't do any particular...
I play keyboard.
You play the keyboard, okay.
I'm Chideme.
Okay.
I sing and I play a little of other instruments like keyboard and drums,
Okay.
bass guitar,
Just a little of all of them.
Little.
Okay. Okay, do we have anyone else? Okay, just leave those guys that are busy at the back. Okay, it's going to them.
Okay. I'm Cheesy.
Okay.
I'm a keyboardist.
Okay, seems like we have more keyboardists here today. Almost everybody is a keyboardist.
I'm Shadrach,
Okay.
a keyboardist.
Kukuma call them keyboard and sound class. Okay, so that's fantastic. So, like I said, I would love for us to just talk. So we're going to talk back to each other. There are a few things that I'd like to just briefly run through. They are supposed to help us to guide our thoughts or our conversation this afternoon. And for me, I feel like if we're talking about embarking on an exodus or an evolution or a progression from the norm, then right quick we have to actually first of all determine what is the norm. Okay, what is the norm that we're talking about? The norm is the level of musicianship in this part of the world, the level of musicianship in this part of the country, in our various individual lives. That's your normal. Okay, that is your normal, your personal normal, and then also our collective normal. So if we are talking about moving from there and moving upwards, there are a few things that I feel will be the drivers. That I think, in my opinion, I was just thinking about it, I feel would be the drivers to help to get us from one point to the other, so that we end up. Now, the thing about this thing is that it's actually a journey, so you never get to the point where you arrive. There really isn't any arrival to this thing, right? Think about the biggest people you know in any sphere or in any unique particular expression of the music industry, the music art. You see that there really isn't any. You're still seeing them do new things every time. You're still seeing them challenge themselves and all of that, and then they come up with something new. That's how they stay fresh, and that's how they stay relevant. Okay, so, and then even for the people that don't stay fresh and stay relevant, the art evolves past them. It moves on. It never really stops. It just keeps moving on. What music was about a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years or even 50 years or 100 years ago is not what it is today. And what it is today, I bet you, is not what it is going to be in the next few months, in the next few years. So it's a never-ending journey. So you want to embark on that journey, and how are we going to do that? I feel I will share these 5 drivers that I believe will help us to continue on that path and on the journey towards growth, constant growth and relevance. I'll just run through the 5 of them, and then we'll just talk briefly, maybe like 3 or 4, 5 minutes on each and every one of them. The first one is your philosophy. The first one is philosophy. Okay. The second one is foundation. I'll talk a bit more about them, but I'd just like for us to just take note of them. Philosophy, foundation. The third one is routine or culture. Culture or routine. Okay. The fourth is approach. Your approach. And then the fifth is your focus. The fifth is your focus. Now, going back to the first one, when we talk about philosophy, I'm basically talking about what's the general mindset. What's your mindset about music or about musicianship? What are the things that you believe in? What are the things that you've gotten yourself to believe in, such that it is what moves you, it is what pushes you? I'll quickly share. Every now and then I'll try to use myself as an example and just share briefly with us. One of my philosophies to music, which informs pretty much the way that I deal with music, the way that I approach anything music or anything artistic, is that if it has, let me say it exactly the way I wrote it. If it can be done, I can do it. If it can be done, I can do it. Can we all say that? Let's all say that more emphatically. Now, what does that mean? That means that if I have seen someone that has done something or done this thing, and I have also seen the possibility of how can this thing be done, which is basically learning the technical know-how to how things work, then I can actually do it. All of the various things that God has been able to help me to achieve and that we keep achieving in the various places that I found myself in is based on the philosophy of, if someone has done it and I see it working, and then someone has been able to talk about this is how this thing can be done, because there's a difference between it being done and you actually getting to know how it can be done. I don't know if we know those musicians. I'm sure maybe some of them are not here. Those musicians that know how to do something, but if you were to ask them how that thing can be done, they really can't communicate it. Do we know those kind of musicians? Right? So there's first of all the instance of this thing can be done. What kind of thing? Say, for example, the major scale. When we talk about maybe keyboardists, the major scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. If it can be played not just on one key but on all 12 keys, if it can be played accurately with the right hand as well as with the left hand, if it can be played accurately with both hands on all 12 keys on very fast speeds, and then you've been able to figure out or find out a way that it can be achieved, then you can do it. Do we understand? Do we understand? Now, so that is one of the philosophies that I believe for me works for me. Now, every single person you might have yours. Mine doesn't have to be yours. But the idea behind the philosophy is, what is the thing that drives you? If you really think about who you are, what it is you do, what you desire to do, what is the thing that drives you to want to do more or to always be on your toes to achieve more? And for me, it is the fact that if I see that something has been done and I really love the result of that thing, like there was once upon a time when I actually couldn't play the major scale. I just couldn't. It seemed like, yeah, I see people doing it, but I mean, how is it possible? How do you play the major scale on C sharp or on B? Some of these keys that have white keys and all, on E. And then for something like C sharp, you probably now have to put your thumb on the black key and stuff like that. How do you navigate that? And then I've tried it a lot of times. And then there are going to be songs that require you to play either the full phrases of a scale or little portions of a scale, which is what they might want to call a lick or a riff or stuff like that. So how far? How will it be done? But for me, I've always thought about, if it can be done, if I have seen someone do it and then I have seen the possibility of how it can be done, then I can give myself to studying. Everybody say studying. I can give myself to studying and pushing myself hard until I figure out a way to do it myself and see myself do it. That's the way that we've been able to innovate and push ourselves, drive ourselves, inculcate technology, inculcate gadgets, and a lot of cool things that helps to drive the music that we do today and will continue to help to drive the music that we do tomorrow. Okay, so that basically is what I would like to challenge every single one, that you begin to think about what are the philosophies that drive your life and your musicianship. One other one, of course, is that music is basically my life. Everything that is one way or the other tied to music. One way or the other is tied to music. The relationship or the marriage that I am marrying is one way, is tied to music. Amen. Everything about me is somehow tied to music, because when I trace the history of my life, I see that this is what I actually was brought to this world to do, and when I do it, I find fulfillment. So you determine to know that this is what your calling, your passion, whatever it is, and you're able to establish that that is your life. So for the content creator or for the comedian, you discover that there is something about that thing that you just cannot get over. Okay, one of my very good friends who's in Lagos now, Forever the Preacher, I stumbled on a picture of one of the events that he did some way back, and I wanted to take a picture of it and send to him, because I looked at it and the guy was looking incredibly funny. He was looking incredibly like a joke in that picture. I think he called it something like Jesus Laughs or something like that. And I was like, what kind of name is this? Now, this is a couple years back. Now, but you see where he is now. He's one of the big comedians that, is hosted on the experience stage and all of that. There's hardly any events the House on Rock does these days in Lagos that, he's not featured as one of them. And he travels abroad, goes to the O2, does shows and all of that. But he was in this same place. But he was able to figure out, and then he married. His wife was a very good friend of mine. I cannot talk past like that. Right? So I look at him and I'm like, the guy, he has everything figured out, but it's a journey, it was a process. And I believe that process started with him identifying that this for him is what is his life. And then he stayed with it, and I know one of his big mentors is Kevin Hart. So he would watch Kevin Hart, and every now and then he would post Kevin Hart stuff, and he will study him and all of that. So that basically has to be the philosophy and driving force for our life and our growth. Okay, the second one is foundation. The second thing that I want to talk about briefly, and I'll try to be a lot faster, is foundation. I really wanted to pass the mic and get us to talk a bit about sharing what are your philosophies and stuff like that. Like, I really wanted it to be somewhat interactive, but let me just run through this, and then maybe we'll take some responses, some questions or whatever would come. So the next one is foundation. Like I have said, if you've seen something being done and you've been able to figure out that there is such a way as it can be done, you now need to engage to grounding yourself in the foundation of that thing. I heard Panky talking about record a video, post yourself, be consistent and all of that. How many of us here have watched a video of someone doing something very passionately but very annoyingly? How many of us have done that? You've watched a video, maybe it was a comedy skit. The person was very invested in that thing, but it was just such a very bland and almost pointless joke, and you're like, where's the joke in this thing? Now, usually what happens is that it leaves a quote-unquote negative imprint on you, because whilst there is consistency or there is the drive to put yourself out there, maybe, just maybe, there hasn't been enough work done when it has to do with the foundations or the principles of how this thing works. Everybody has their little beginning, granted, but there's nothing that says that your little beginning has to be showcased. Has to be showcased on the biggest possible light. Now, everybody has access to the biggest possible light, which is what? Social media. Now, so is it wise to put yourself out there and look like a joke or like a caricature? Or would it be better that I have access to social media, I have data, I have a good phone, I can video myself, but then before I put myself out there, I want to try and see that thing that I want to do, I have really tried and worked it and got it right. Do we think it makes more sense? Right? So, whilst on one hand, there is the need for putting yourself out there, there is the need for promoting yourself, sharing what you do with the world, it's important. Now, even if it is just a very simple thing, like I put out a video of one of my students that was playing Mary Had a Little Lamb on the keyboard, because I teach private lessons and stuff like that. And a lot of people, adults were like, wow, it's really so cool and all of that. And that is for his level, because he's a 4+, going on 5. And he was playing Mary Had a Little Lamb with both hands. And he made a few mistakes, but the guy was having fun. Before he could play that video, you don't want to know how many weeks of practice he had put in to get it to that point. And at his level, that had a good impact. So yesterday night, the mom reached out to me, wow, please send me the video, please. I'm like, so there was something I was trying to ask her to do, which was like, I think we're going to leave it for next year. And then she saw the video on my, I'm like, please send it, please. In fact, I'm beginning to reconsider doing that thing that I was considering moving till next year. Like, Kukuma do it this time around. I'm like, oh, okay, so cool. So at that level that the young man is, he has been able to, he put that thing out there. And of course, when he finished recording it, and I played it for him, and he was happy. So it's important to put ourselves out, but it's important that we try to do as much due diligence. I have not said try to be perfect. That's not what I have said, because you're never really going to be. Okay? But try as much as you can. At that level where you are, get your art as good as possible. What they say is, check it out with someone that really cares, that can tell you the truth, that has a little sense, can assess something. Make it not go be saying that your friends, your friends don't have to rate your posts or your publication after the fact, when you've already put it, when you cannot withdraw it, and everybody has laughed a few laughs. Instead, engage people that can critique what you do and tell them, oh, it's nice. That's the reason why it's good to have community. It's good to have people that you share the same values with, that help to push you and all of that. So the point being that it is very important for us to engage the foundations and principles of, or rather theory, the principles and theory of anything. If it is music, please do not ignore learning to play on all the keys. Don't ignore it. I tell people, why do you want to learn 1,001 thing on just one key when you can learn 5 or 10 or 20 on all the keys? So that tomorrow, now it's better that you come and you can play on all the keys, but then they give you a song like, I've not gotten to the point where I can score this song. But when they are playing in any key and you're in church, or maybe something wants to go wrong, you can easily quickly save it with that your normal do, fa, sola that you can play. As against something is spoiling in church, you've claimed that you can do, you run scales, and then something is spoiling in church, and because the keyboard it transpose, everything gets messed up. Which do you think is better? Ebube, please tell me, because you are a keyboardist. Which do you think is better? So these are the things that we have to. And then for singers also, there is principles. There are theory. The fact that your voice is always cracking every day is not a natural occurrence for everybody. There are people that actually sing 3 hours and their voice don't crack. The reason being that there is a proper way. Welcome, sir, one of the great singists of our time and vocal people. So there is a proper way. If I talk the one who know correct, I better tell me. There is a proper way that singing is done, such that you don't make a mess of yourself out there. You don't need to be able to sing like Tasha Cobbs for you to be able to sing well. You just need to know how that little El Shaddai that you're singing can work the best at that level. And then you do the due diligence that is required for you to work the best before you put yourself out. Okay? So we do the work, especially the foundational work. It is the foundation of a house. The foundation of a house. I have heard that the foundation of most houses actually is one of the most expensive phases of a building, and it takes a while. Blocks can be placed on a building, cement and everything. It can be done. All of those can be done. But foundation is one of the things that you do, and you leave it and you let it set before you move on to placing blocks and all of that. Roofing can be done. People can roof a house in 2-3 days. Depends on your workforce. A lot of other things about a house building can be done like that, not the foundation. So the foundation of anything we're doing is one of the things we must take out time and really do. And the beautiful thing about foundation is that you don't do it in the open. You do it inside. Everybody say that? You do your foundational work where? Inside. Don't do it outside. Don't come and be... There's something one of my music pastors used to tell me. That this boy, and I didn't know I was doing it, that this young man, if he's playing keyboard and I'm playing in church, and I want to play a scale and I miss it, I'll go back and try and play that scale again. I'll keep trying to play that scale until I get it. And I didn't know I was doing that. What was I doing? I was doing my normal inside the house practice where on stage. And by the time I finally get that scale, music for them almost they finish. And of course, you would have messed up a lot of things in the course of doing that. So the foundations is very, I feel like my 20 is almost already done. I wonder if people gave me mic and asked me to talk for 20 minutes. Okay, so the third thing is culture or routine. And this is very important. What does that speak of? It speaks about your preparation and your performance routines. Everybody say routine. Everybody say routine. Please quickly put down this quote. The secrets of great men are in their routines or their habits. Their daily routines or their daily habits. The secret of anybody that is great in any field of the world is not in the big things that they do or their ability to think big. No, it is in the It is in the wake up by such a time, read for such a amount of time, go to the gym such other time, take such this kind of food. Those are the things that make men great, because nobody truly becomes great overnight. You build on it, and most of the things that define you as a successful person in any field are the routines and habits that you maintain and continue to improve on as you go. So routines are in two stages. It is, number one, there is the preparatory routine. How do you prepare yourself? One of the ways I prepare myself as a music person is I always listen to music. Always. If I am on the road, I am listening to music. If I enter a bus, I am intentional about I am not listening to the bus driver's music. I am listening to my own music. I don't let any time pass that I am not consciously feeding my music mind. So for me, that is the biggest part of my preparatory routine. If I was ever going to score a song, I take 95% of the time to listen to the song, and just maybe 5, or maybe let me add a little, 7% of the time to actually play it. Now that's because of the level I've gotten to. But someone else, and there was once upon a time when my routine was practice. You have to play. Get on the keyboard and play. Get on the keyboard and play. Get on the drums and play. Okay? Get on the drums and play and play and play and play and play and play and put time into the doing and the doing and the doing. But for now, at this level now, my routine I do more of listening. So I've been able to build my music mind such that, and music ear such that, if I listen long enough, I can dissect the parts of the music. If it is the vocals, if it is the keyboard part, if it's even the bass part, the drums part, I can dissect it and digest it, so that once I sit on the keyboard, the soft part of the thing is already in my head. I now just play it out with little practice time. Okay, so you have to know what your routine is. And of course, for musicians, listening has to be a big part of your routine. For everybody, singer. So be intentional about it. Have a good earphone. Everybody, repeat what I just said now, please. Please don't buy 250 naira supposed to be Oraimo or AKG earphone from Obeti. No. Mr. Dave saw me sometime recently on the way, and I was wearing my regular, supposed to be on the stage in-ear earphones, and that's the only one I have now. And I would rather use this one and keep hoping that I'll buy because this one is supposed to be like a performance thing, use it only on stage for stuff like that, in ears and stuff, and then have maybe like a Bluetooth one. The last Bluetooth one I had, I make sure that I handpicked it, checked the quality well, because I have to be sure of what I'm listening to. I cannot come and go and be listening to a chord and it will be sounding like another chord because of the quality of the earphone that I'm using, or because you are going to replicate what you hear as a musician. Music is sound. Yes, there's a part of music that can be read, but we're not doing that in this part of the world, do we? You do your sound selection before the fact. one of the things that make things work, the way we really see them work and desire for them to work, is discipline. Okay, everybody say discipline. Have we ever heard? I was listening to a recording like that a little while before I came out. Have you ever heard some of these big bands, like really big bands, that maybe like someone like a Travis Green band, and he has like maybe 3 guitarists or 2 guitarists plus himself, and then maybe like 3 keyboardists. Each keyboardist has like 2-3 keyboards. The organist is stacked, has the organ listing and probably 1 synth on the side, and then the aux guy has, like most aux guys have, at least 2 to 3 keyboards per time. Then maybe the main key, so that's like 3 human beings playing 3 keyboards, and they choose the number that they play at any point in time. Then you have a drummer, and then you have a bass guitarist, and all of that, and then you have a number of singers. But when you still listen to the song, you can still see sanity. Or did I say see? You can still hear, and we see music sometimes. You can still hear sanity. And when I mean sanity, I mean like everybody has their hands on the keyboard or on their instruments playing at the same time. But there's still beauty, there's still art, there's still organization to it. Brothers and sisters, what that thing simply is what I like to call role play. Everybody say role play. Disciplined role play. So, I have a Jupiter 80 as an aux keyboardist, and then I have maybe a Mini Moog, and then I have which other cute keyboards where they use to play aux? Roland Juno G. Jesus, that's a good board right there. So I have these 3 guys, right, and each one of them have incredible sounds. And then the pianist has a drum piano and maybe some pads, and then the organist has organ, and then of course the lead guitarist has all those things. But per time, I am doing something simple. Not just simple, but something pre-planned. Nothing is being done on the spur of the moment. Trust me. You see those Oyibo people? They don't create on stage. There's nothing like creating on stage. The amount of creativity that goes into what they do on stage is probably like 5 or 10 or 15%. The huge percentage of everything you see them do on stage has already been pre-planned. Has already been, and it was not just pre-planned. They've done it. If they've had 15 rehearsals, they've done it consistently for at least 10 of those rehearsals, such that it now becomes the normal thing. The way you know if you want to play My Hallelujah, it belongs to you, that simple progression. The scale and all the big chords that you hear them play, they've played it so many times in rehearsal that it now becomes very like an everyday thing for them when they come on stage. And that's the reason why there is ease, there is precision, and there is excellence, and at the same time they are enjoying what they are doing. So discipline is the biggest part of it. So you do all of your homework, all of the craziness, you do it behind the stage, and then out of it you now pick the little that you're going to do that works for the song, and it doesn't have to be much. It doesn't have to be much. Now juxtapose a 22 or a 17-man band on stage, and they're playing and everything was organized, to a 3-man band, drums, bass, keyboard. That's all. But you see, it's like a what? A crusade, an open air crusade, where you have all sorts of elements playing. There's noise, there is lacking in coordination and all of that. Why? Because we've not learned the principle of disciplined role play. So, most of the time when you see me on stage, I will have put on a lot of hard work. If I have just 3 people playing, probably preparing multi-tracks, stems and stuff like that. But you see that one that I'm playing, I'm not interested in doing anything serious. Because as I'm sitting there, I am monitoring the musicians, I am monitoring the singers, I am thinking about the sequence, I'm thinking about the spontaneity of my pastor and how he can just decide, like he did last Wednesday. We came with one contemporary praise, and he was so excited and he said we should do another one. And we were not going to do another one without using loops for it. It's going to drop the spirit, it's going to crash everything now. So in the middle of it, I have to be quick on my feet to think about elements. I am thinking about the accuracy of the lyrics on the screen. I'm listening to the overall sound balance in the house. I'm listening to my team. I am calling spontaneous parts for us to play, all happening at the same time, because all I'm doing is disciplined little role play. Okay, so this is what as musicians we have to begin to think about, so that you don't want to play all the chords that you've learned during the week in just 5 minutes of praise and worship. It's pointless. Okay, so the last thing that I have is focus. Okay, so we have to determine what exactly is the goal. What's the focus? Do I want to just show off? Do I want to show off? That's what musicians call shedding. You just want to shed, just want to show your skill, because there is a place for shedding and there is a place for session recording. So when you see a musician, a professional musician shedding, they let it loose, they do everything. But when they come to professional recording or session recording, they do just what is required for the distance. So you have to determine, what is my goal? And for singers, do I want to show off scales, riffs, and all the strength, or do I want to show off the pitch of my voice? I can hit high notes. Or do I want to connect the people to the worship or the spirit of the worship? Most of the time, what is required for you to connect the people to the spirit of worship is very little. You don't even need to do too much singing as the lead singer. You just need to do a little bit, introduce the song, and then encourage them. Just keep guiding them, and then exhort in the singing. Speak about the song that you're singing. Let the power of the song come out by itself, not through the scales that you're running in your voice. There is a place for running of scale. There's a place where it fits, but you have to determine what exactly the focus is. Is it spiritual impact? Is it excellence? Or is it showmanship? Showmanship is not wrong, but if it is showmanship, it should be done because it is showmanship. Okay? If it is excellence, it should be done because our goal is to achieve excellence. If it is spiritual impact, let there be the endeavor to ensure that spiritual impact actually happens. Okay, so said a couple of things. I've just basically run through some of the thoughts that I really kind of wanted us to discuss about, and I don't know if there'll still be another time for that, and if I'll still be able to stay for that. But I really would have loved to, hear a few things back from us, and then we'll talk back with each other and everything. But so far, here ends the thoughts that I thought to share with us for this afternoon. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Please, a round of applause for him again. Hallelujah. If there is nothing I learned here, the only thing I would tell you that I would hold tenaciously is the part where you get to be careful about the sound you listen, and even the earphones you buy, because it's part of your story, sir. It's part of the journey. I could remember when I bought an AirPod of 17,000. They were like, hey, this thing is costly. I said, if they give me they enter inside. Do you understand? And I had thought of buying lesser one recently, but this teaching today, I'll go back to more original ones. Hallelujah. Thank you, sir. That was so powerful. And secondly, for gospel singers, I don't know if you guys heard him when he said, if you are here for showmanship, you can run your riffs, you can do whatever. But if you are to lead the people, let there be power in the song you sing. All right? You cannot I tell people that if you invite Travis Green, man of God, Apostle Selman talked about adaptability. If you invite Tasha Cobbs, for example, to my village, where old men and old women, if she's running her reefs and fronts, it will look as if she's not anointed. I don't know if you understand, because they are confused. So one thing we musicians should know is adaptability. Anywhere you are called, you should know what you should do there. If you watch what Orenze did in London, and what's the name of the other one? Don't Sing. That is to tell you this thing. They go to a particular environment and they adapt to that environment. That makes you a musician. Praise the Lord. We'll be connecting with one of our speakers from Lagos live before we have a music presentation break. Live, just shortly. Okay, praise the Lord. I think he will be the next person. We'll be having okay, please forgive me. I failed to recognize the presence of Kelly Songs. Please, sir, if you're around, can you wave your hand or stand? A round of applause for him. Thank you, sir. He was here early and he stepped out. He's back again. We'll be having, next on our list, we'll be having a presentation